Hello and welcome to Tête à Tête, France 24's flagship interview show. Our guest this week is Gil Kerlikowske. He served as Commissioner of the U.S. Customs and Border Protection from 2014 to 2017, and he was previously police chief in Seattle and Buffalo, and he joins us from Charleston in South Carolina. Thank you very much for being with us, Mr. Kerlikowske.
Thank you.
We've seen dramatic events in Minneapolis after a surge of several thousand federal agents were sent for sweeping immigration crackdowns. Federal officers shot and killed two protesters, Renee and Alex Pretti. The administration accused them of being domestic terrorists before backing down in the face of an outcry, including among some Republicans. What's your assessment of what took place in Minneapolis in the last few weeks?
Well, the assessment of the shooting of Renee Good and the shooting of Alex Pretti are both under investigation. The question, of course, is who's doing the investigation? How transparent will the investigation be? And it's been unprecedented that this investigation isn't being conducted by the FBI. The state and local authorities in Minneapolis and the state of Minnesota were not included. The information was not exchanged with them. So I think this leaves a lot of skepticism regarding the investigation.
Right. Donald Trump, the president, promised a, quote, very honorable and honest investigation into Pretti's killing. His top White House advisor, Stephen Miller, who had described Pretti immediately as a would-be assassin, now says that maybe a CBP agent, Customs and Border Patrol, did not follow proper protocol. Do you think that maybe the White House is feeling the heat and is trying to throw federal agents under the bus?
Well, so what happened was that we have these videos that of both of the shootings, and they're really iconic, and they have gone, as we know, not only across the nation, but we know that worldwide. People in the White House, from the president, the vice president, the secretary of Homeland Security, all described both of these shootings as the people were domestic terrorists, the victims were the Border Patrol agents, and on and on. The problem was that the nation, and frankly the world, looked at those videos and did not believe what they were being told by these officials. And the backlash has been significant.
Right. You obviously were at the helm of the Customs and Border Protection for many years. Going into cities, obviously Minneapolis, but we've seen other large cities. Going into cities is not exactly their job description. I mean, obviously, we also talked a lot about the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, known as ICE, but they've been sent in areas to do stuff that they're not trained to do so.
Yeah, they're poorly trained, and most importantly, they're being poorly led and poorly directed. The Border Patrol works best on the border or very close to the border. And so parachuting them into urban areas with diverse populations that can be difficult to police at times is a huge mistake. And that has been happening quite a bit. And now it's all coming to a head.
Right. One person who has embodied the crackdown in a number of American cities, Gregory Bovino, was named the Border Patrol commander at large. He now seems to have been removed to a certain degree. Do you think that he is to blame for all what we've seen happening in American cities and especially in Minneapolis?
Well, a lot of this was directed by President Trump's Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller, who was very vocal and vehement in saying that they wanted up to 3,000 apprehensions or arrests a day. Bovino was far outside the protocols of the way a federal law enforcement officer would react. He challenged elected officials like the mayor of Los Angeles, the mayor of Chicago, et cetera. and put a very large footprint, federal footprint, into these cities. Now it's clear that his reign has come to an end, and he has been dispatched back to Southern California.
Right. According to a tally from the Washington Post, officers have fired shots during enforcement arrest or at people in protest 16 times since July. And in each case, the administration has publicly declared that their actions were justified before investigations were completed. None of the officers have faced criminal charges. I mean, would you describe this as a breakdown in law and order and the way it is investigated in the United States?
It is a breakdown. When I was there and a federal agent used force or deadly force, there were a series of investigations. There was transparency. The information was communicated to the members of Congress, to the United States Department of Justice. So it has been a total breakdown. And it should raise red flags with everyone when these high-level elected officials begin to say, we've already come to a conclusion before the investigation even begins.
Right. There was also a case of a Cuban migrant who was held in solitary confinement at a detention facility in Texas, and he died while the guards held him down. And according to an autopsy report, it was ruled a homicide, whereas ICE said that it was actually a suicide. This is an example, among others. It seems that this is a pattern. This is not just an accident. There is a pattern when you look at this and what happened in Minneapolis.
Yes, and if it wasn't for the videos, these that have gone throughout the world, if it wasn't for the videos, I'm not so sure that people would be as enraged or questioning. I'm not so sure that Republican elected officials would be as strongly inclined to ask really hard questions of the administration. And so I think we should all be thankful for people that were out there with their cell phones recording what was happening and observing what was happening.
Right. We've also seen something that doesn't happen very often. Former presidents, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, now Joe Biden, they generally don't speak too much about what their successors are doing, saying that this was, in fact, an inflection point, a turning point for the country. Do you agree with the former presidents on this issue?
Oh, I think this has been a turning point. We have been talking for quite some time about the fact that these are the wrong tools, meaning the Border Patrol, Customs and Border Protection. They are not the ones that should be working in a city, in an urban environment, because they don't have that training, experience, or background. And their use of less lethal munitions has been awful. The body slamming or throwing people down, shooting these pepper ball rounds, using pepper spray. This is all outside the way a police department would use those tools.
Right. As someone who headed the Customs and Border Protection, CBP, as someone who was at the helm of police forces in large cities, do you have a sense of the morale that those agencies are going through right now? I mean, do you think from your interaction with people who are still in power or still working there, is this really a bad time for them?
It's a terrible time for them. They've been put in a very awful position, and it's you shouldn't blame them. You should blame the leadership, the lack of training. I'd often talk to people, and their morale is in the dumpster, as we would say in the United States.
Right. From your interactions, I mean, has there also been some failure in the training? You mentioned they're not properly trained. I mean, there were some reports that the training is much shorter, much more superficial, and those agents are being thrown in the situations we just discussed. Is this the feedback you're getting?
Yeah, the training has been shortened. The hiring has been really expedited. And we know we've had a long history in this country of when there's a lot of money thrown at a police department and they really speed up the hiring, that too often they hire the wrong people. That doesn't come to light till sometimes years later, but there's a price to be paid for that. The shortened training, by the way, is really focused on their job of either the Border Patrol or working at Customs and Border Protection. The training really isn't anything that you would go through to be a city police officer, to work in an urban, diverse environment. That's just not the things that they're taught. And it does take a lot more than just training to work in a city.
Gil Kerlikowske, thank you very much for being our guest from Charleston in South Carolina. And thank you all for watching this edition of Tête à Tête here on France 24.